Hi, this is Nancy Niz, the Sewing Goddess, here in St. Petersburg, Florida. And today I have the most interesting project I think I've ever done in the 54 years that I've been professionally sewing. My wonderful artist friend here in town, Jenna Kennedy, bought a most interesting coat said to be by Salvador Dali. Here, let me turn the camera around and we'll take a look at it. A few years back, she bought this coat from someone in New York City, and it was bought from the New York Metropolitan Opera auction. It was said to be designed and made as a sample coat by Salvador Dali. But we don't know any of the history of this coat. There's the label Salvador Dali inside, which I will show you later. But there's so many mysteries with this coat because there's no history that we can find on the internet. We have talked to people in Spain, in France, an expert in Philadelphia, several people here in St. Petersburg to try to figure out where did this coat come from, because there's just nothing on the internet. The mystery is it has some strange quirks to it that don't look like intentional design. They look like mistakes or shrinkage or just sloppy work. And Jana wants me to alter this coat to straighten things out because she wants to wear it and have it look halfway decent. Because Salvador Dali, when he designed, even with Schiaparelli, his designs were flawless. And even though there might have been interesting detail, it wasn't sloppily done. It was technically perfect. The designs were perfect. Everything was perfect. Even if there was something different, it looked slick and professionally done. This coat does not look professionally done, but it still has the labels in it, and it was still sold by the opera auction as a Salvador Dali sample coat. So now I am going to point out some of the things that make me wonder what happened to this coat. I think there was shrinkage, but we're not sure about that. You can see right in here all the ripples. It's a double placket for buttons. The buttonholes are perfect. The lining's perfect. There's nothing that looks like it's been retrofitted or redone. It all looks wonderful. But it's puckery. Why is it puckery? It looks like the lining shrank. You can see down here all of this puckering here and all of the puckering over here. It makes me wonder, did the lining shrink? However, the front is not the problem of the coat. It's the back. Let me show you. This is the back. This is why I'm saying this doesn't look like an intentional design decision. It looks like a shrunken, awful mess. So what I'm going to do now is get the coat lying flat and open. So give me a minute and I'll be right back. So here you can see on the inside the label Salvador Dali, Paris, Fourier. Fourier means furrier. I have no idea where that label was made. But what's the most interesting label it's hard to see. It says SD3102, and it looks like a date of some sort. It's a little harder to read. The letters are written in a European style, the numbers. And this type of tag is usually in a custom-made garment to identify it. So that's a very interesting tag right here. But I think part of the mystery when we have looked at the back and you think, did the lining shrink? The lining's perfect. The lining's beautiful. It's an older coat because the fabric is an older weave. It's a little more coarse. It's not a fabric that you'd find usually today. It's wool. But there are no water stains. There are no dry cleaning stains. There's no damage under the arm on the lining. So it looks almost as if this has been relined, but it's hard to believe that it's been relined because the button placket has the same type of lining, and those buttonholes are perfect. You cannot take out a lining and redo it and get those buttonholes in and have them look perfect. You will get mismatching and raveling. So that's another sort of a mystery. So this is just a fascinating alteration, a fascinating issues. So what I'm going to do now is, in order to work with this safely, I'm going to put a basting line around the edge of the fur and remove it so it doesn't get damaged or beat up while I work on the coat. And then I'm going to open up the bottom down here at the hem and open it up. So see what's going on the inside and undo the side seams on the outside of the coat. So I will be back to show you what's on the inside once I get it all opened up. You can see now, once I let the lining loose and the coat was able to drop in the back, you can see what I call evidence of shrinkage, of source something's going on here that ought not to be happening. All this puckering here, that's all pulled up by something, and I think it's the lining, because that shouldn't be that way. And you can see up the side, what happened here? That's not lining. The puckering, the front of the coat's smooth, and the back of the coat's all wrinkled. That's what happened on both sides. The whole thing's just dropped. So I'm going to open up and show you. We're going to look at the inside and see what's going on in there. So it seems a couple of mysteries have been solved. There's iron-on, there's fusible interfacing. That's unusual. To me, that's unusual, depending on the age of the coat, because that wasn't used until more recently as much. But this is what caused the shrinkage in the back. This piece of interfacing or fusible, it was going to have to be removed to get rid of the puckering in the back, because that just shrank. And this type of fusible is known for shrinkage, so you have to pre-shrink it, like wash it sometimes gently to take care of that. But there's this puckering right here. It looks like the coat either was gathered or something. I have no idea why that's that way. So I'm going to start taking this apart, getting the fusible off. Sometimes you have to heat it a little bit with a dry iron to warm it up enough to peel it off. So then I'll be back and with further progress. Okay, so now we're at the part where I have undone the hem, detached the lining, and opened up the seams of the coat. And now I can really tell what's really happened and kind of give a final verdict on what happened to the coat. So in the beginning, we were wondering, was this coat made this way on purpose? But it looks so horrible, and no one could believe that Dali would have done something like this intentionally. Now I know that the inner lining shrinks 3 inches per yard, so that pulled up part of the coat. Also, the lining shrank, and look what happened to the pocket. The lining shrank. So between the shrinkage of the lining and the shrinkage of the iron-on facing, it pulled up everything. So instead of taking the coat from its original design, we are restoring the coat to its original pristine condition. There are some parts that have been stretched out that I need to press and flatten the fabric. You can see that the iron-on has shrunk 2 inches. And every time you peel iron-on interfacing off, you're always left with the rough bumps of the glue. so that you have to put something back over these bumps, or every time you iron the garment, this side, the bumps will stick to the fabric on the other side, and you don't always want that to happen. So what I'm going to do now is press everything, and I have to straighten out this part here. I'm going to have to pull this before I iron on the interface. I'm going to have to pull it and steam it a little bit, just steam it from above so I don't touch any of the glue, to flatten out the fabric because it's still puckered up. I have a really good iron, and I've been in love with it for years. It's called a high steam. It's a boiler with an iron, and of course you have to have the tubes on it and truss it up. It's a pricey iron. It takes some good maintenance, but I'm able to do the maintenance, thankfully. But if you're interested in something like this, if you really want a good iron that has a lot of steam power, it comes from McAllister Retail Services in Georgia. So you can always contact me and ask where to get these. But there's just a fantastic iron. If you do any serious sewing, this is the iron for you, because it's got drier steam than the gravity feed types of irons, because it's pressurized. Okay, back to work, and I will come back and tell you how things are coming along. I finished the alterations on the Salvador Dali coat, and you can see on the center front, right where the buttons are, I wasn't able to remove all the puckers because the lining and the buttonholes are all sewn together, and I couldn't take those apart without just destroying the whole front. But down on the center front, everything is all nice and smooth and flat now. And you'll see on the back what an incredibly huge transformation we were able to make there. So here we are looking at the back. You can see up here, the middle of the back, and going down to where the pleat starts, and where all that gathering and crunched up stuff, that's all gone, and the whole back is all nice and flat now. It had been all hiked up because the fusible interfacing had shrunk and the lining had shrunk, and it was all attached right here. And when I let that go, I could take out the interfacing, reposition it, press out the wrinkles, and reset the lining. The hem's all smooth now. Of course, it always looks better when there's a body in it. My dress form's very small, so it's a very long coat for a very tall person. So you can see we've made quite a huge improvement on how this coat looks. It's been restored to its original state. We know that the wrinkles and the bagging was not a conscious design decision. So this is a really successful restoration. I've always enjoyed and had a lot of fun doing these types of alterations, which to me are those impossible challenges not many people want to tackle, but the results are just so amazing. I will have to say, though, that the fabric needs to be in good shape, and if it's damaged, frayed, worn, torn, or some other type of dirty, so dirty that you can't clean it, this type of work can't be done, because the outcome will not be good. There's nothing to work with. So this has been great. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If any of you have any information on the coat of where this might have come from about Salvador Dali and his designing, let us know in the comments below the video. We'd love to hear from you. So this is the Sewing Goddess saying goodbye for now until we meet again. Bye.